Yeah, she needs some help out there, Sukalova. 20:45:21. She's got just under a minute to complete the lap around the stadium, and then she will go into the lead. And at the moment, no one else after the second shoot is challenging her. And Sukalova still has the fastest time after the first shoot as well. So it's could be a huge day for the Czech athlete. What a shame she didn't produce this sort of form at Novo Mesto at the World Championships, but it's been a breakthrough season for Sukalova. She got a win in Pachuca earlier on in the year. In fact, she had 3 podiums in 3 races. 21:42, miles inside. A brilliant finish from Sukalova, and she takes the lead convincingly, 17.2 seconds. Well, that's fantastic, and she could have a healthy lead at the start of the pursuit on Saturday. Well, what a race we've had so far, and the early start is suffering a little. I just get the feeling the snow's a little quicker later on, once the sharp crystals have been flattened out a little. Sukalova, Henkel, Gustner have taken full advantage of that. 21:25.6, the leading time at the moment. Tora Berger already 43.5 behind. That 19th podium could be hard to come by.
6th place, but of course, what a pursuit on Saturday. If she finds the magic that she's shown us so much this season, but she's not used to being in 6th, maybe we'll drop a little further.
Well, where was it? She came from 13th to finish in 1st place in the pursuit. I'm sure some of our viewers will remember. And incidentally, if you've got any comments about the season, or your commentators, do get some emails into us for the end of the season. If you've got some highlights that we can remind everyone of, do that. We're on biathlon.eurosport@yahoo.com. and send them through. And if they make us laugh, we'll read them out.
I thought for a horrible second there that Mali was shooting on the wrong target, but of course she's on 21 straight up that lane.
But just explain, Mike, when they miss a target, generally the rule is you don't aim for that target again.
Yeah, and psychologically, you've just missed that target, move on. Forget that, rebuild your drills. Most biathletes do move on to the next target in your row of 5.
You tell yourself it must have been smaller than the other ones. No, it's just in case there's a malfunction and the electronic target isn't operating properly. So, and also, that's what you do in training. You always move one target along after each shot.
It's rhythm, isn't it? And stick to the rhythm that you do all year, all summer, all your career in biathlon. Still good from Kuzmina, missing 2 targets, 34 behind.
Yeah, we've got Mäkirainen on 34.6 behind, Vilakina on 30.4, so there's a lot at stake here. I'm not sure she's going to catch Miriam Gustner, who's 23 off the leading time at the moment in the finish. But Kuzmina can certainly aim for 4th place. Magdalena Gwizdon, another clear shoot, would go down well in the Polish camp. Just a little bit quick with that last shot. Looked relaxed, but certainly she broke her steady rhythm to react to that last target, and that one miss is going to prove very costly indeed.
I loved Gwizdon's comment when she won last week in Sochi. The question was asked, and you know, it must be a big surprise for you winning. She said, no, I expected this. It was a surprise, I think, for most other people watching the race.
Now, the French could do with a good result today. They've struggled a little this year. Kuzmina coming into the finish now, 21:25 has gone, but she is aiming for that time of 21:56. Oh, I think she's just going to miss it. She does miss it. And had she had some coaching on that last 400 meters, I'm absolutely sure she could have found half a second.
Half a second, and she was closing it down rapidly. You're right, you need support. You need to be told, find us another part of a second, but she'll regret that probably later.
So, 1st and 2nd position at the moment have the perfect shooting score of 10 out of 10. Sukalova, Henkel, Miriam Gustner in 3rd place with 1 miss, but the rest are all the big names. Vilakina, Kuzmina, Mäkirainen, Berger, all up there in the top 7 positions. It's a testing track here in Khanty-Mansijsk. There's always a bit of a party atmosphere. And those who don't qualify for the mass start on Sunday will start their partying on Saturday night.
I think that plays a part. Some athletes, because it's the end of the season, there's been a whole lot of effort, training, focus, and as you say, that back off from the pressure, it brings some athletes we haven't seen before to the top of the podium. So Karlova we have seen on the podium, but certainly she's raised her game massively today.
Vita Shimirenko, who was right up there after the prone shoot. She had a lead over Kaiser-Mäkäräinen after the first shoot, and with that one miss after on shoot number 2, she's dropped down the order, thrown away her chance of getting her first ever win. And I think she's lost a little bit of ski speed late on, so maybe setting off too hard early on for Shimirenko. Good season for her though, Mike. Always nice for her to finish ahead of her sister. 42 seconds off the pace today, despite the fact that she's only missed 1.
You mentioned her sister, her twin sister, has just missed 2 in the standing, and she's 1 minute 15 behind after the stand shoot.
Annalise Cook, she's certainly someone who's come to the fore this year. 2 misses in the stand, that's so annoying. That's pretty standard with the Americans. Lowell Bailey has had problems. Tim Burke, if he has had a problem, it's come on the last shoot. Dunkley the same. Annalise Cook the same. Where can they put that right, Mike? They can all shoot in the standing position. It's just the last shoot.
It's strange. It's almost a restlessness where they know the American team have the ski speed. They can get a top 5. With Tim Burke, of course, silver medalist at the World Champs. So you're putting so much more emphasis. I've got to get these last 2. She hits 8 out of 8 and then misses those last 2. So I think it's a self-pressure or maybe a team pressure as well that we can get on that podium. Hildebrand didn't see what happened there, but she's having to hand feed a spear around. Yeah,
do you think that's the same, or exactly the opposite of Guisdon, who said, I was expecting to win, and therefore isn't really surprised that she gets to shot number 10 and all the targets have gone down, the previous 9 have all gone down. The Americans, if they hit the first 7, 8, you can just sense the tension on those last 2.
You definitely can, and it's a mindset training, isn't it? We mentioned that earlier, where you have to try, like Dahlmeier does, to just do the normal. Just don't look left, don't look right, don't care about anyone else, don't care about where you are at this moment. Just try and keep your set of skills to keep the rifle steady.
Monika Hönisch, part of a strengthening Polish team that will definitely be contenders for a medal in the relay. Slightly surprised they didn't feature in Nove Mesto. Of course, it was the Italians who came through to take a surprise medal in the women's 4x6. That was a brilliant race. And while we're on the subject of minor teams, Mike, which team in the women's, apart from, of course, the big 4, do you think has sort of deserves the applause this year?
Well, certainly we've talked about the Americans. Occasionally the Americans really getting it together in the relay and individually with Dunkley and Annalise Cook and more, just getting it together. But of course the Polish team have looked so good, the Czech team, but the World Championships tends to lift a team anyway with the impetus of racing at World Champs and the money that comes into the team on top of that.
And while we watch Yurieva going through her paces, I guess we could say that Belarus have now joined the Russians and the Germans and the Norwegians.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're there. They're thereabouts. And Domracheva.
Belarus, incidentally, ranked number 6 in the women's standings this year. I'm surprised it's not a little bit higher because they're just behind France, who've had a pretty poor season by their standards. But the top 4, Norway, Germany, Russia and Ukraine.
I would say that's maybe the surprise that the French team have dropped down. I know that Brunei's not here and has opted out of the last number of World Cups, but they certainly were ranked higher last year at this time.
And for those of you watching in the UK, Great Britain ranked number 29 out of the 38 nations that have taken part in World Cups this season. They're limited on the numbers they can enter, so it's always a battle to pick up points. Huschler comes through, and 17th place, very respectable, good World Cup points. Going through the 7.1 kilometre stage, coming into the stadium now, number 44, that's Magdalena Guisdon, who was looking very, very promising at halfway, but that one miss later on proving costly. 21.25 has long gone. She's going to be over a minute behind, and I don't think there's any way she can get herself into the top 10 today. Must be a little disheartening, Mike, when you win comfortably one week and suddenly the next week you still shoot pretty well, but you're way, way off the pace.
Must horrible feeling and almost pressure involved as well. You mentioned the British team. Sadly, Amanda Lightfoot still unwell and not starting today, which is a pity. And it is difficult for the British team, just racing one athlete, to get outside that bracket 25, nation 25 to 29. Some talented athletes being developed in Kieran Gorms in Scotland. Zima, that was good.
That was a nice shoot. Not many have shot clear so far. The two leaders, Sokolova and Henkel. And we'll try and give you a rundown of all those who've hit the perfect score. Gina has just joined the list. 15.48, a top 10 finish would be excellent for her. No relay here this week. The races we've got scheduled, obviously this sprint, a pursuit to follow, and then the final day of the season, a mass start for both the men and the women, just to wrap it up. And, well, we know who's taking the bulk of the Crystal Globes back. Still a couple to be decided. Tora Berger has got the sprint, regardless of what happens today. That was Effie Sachenbacher just finishing. She shot clear last week. She shot clear last week, missed 2 this time, and 1:38 off the lead time, so she's in 23rd position at the end. Not a bad time for Shimarenko when you consider that she's missed 2 targets. If they'd all gone down, she would have been certainly in the top 5 or 6 today. Not looking too happy with the way things have gone. And there we see the standings at the moment. I can't see too many changes. No one's making an impression from the later starters today. So I think Sokolova can just about start her celebrations as the winner. It will be her 2nd win of the season. Andrea Henkel, I think 2nd place is the best she's done this year. Should have loved to have had a win, but still a podium finish. Very, very respectable for the veteran in the German team. Sokolova, the race leader, just going through her standing shoot. She is safely home and she's produced a very, very good time. An interesting last lap from Sokolova. She lost time on the first climb, saved something for the last and brutal climb into the stadium and made up over 10 seconds on Andrea Henkel on